But I think
Call the meeting to order. Current time is 1:07 p.m. I want to thank everyone for coming out today for our September 7, 2024 14th Police District Council meeting.
Let's go ahead and get the roll call out of the way. Councilor Orlikoff.
Present.
And I am Councilor Ross.
And we are all carry on with our meeting. First and foremost, we're going to get into public comment. So we're going to take about 20 minutes total. Going to give everybody about
2 minutes each. Please be mindful of that time. We want to get as many inputs from people as possible. So if you don't try to stretch out to the 2 minutes if possible, so that we can get that. Remember, we do have rules of decorum. We ask that no personal attacks, and please watch your language. We may have children watching on the Facebook live feed. That being said, do we have any public comments to share?
You can go first. Chloe.
Oh, I'm here because I live very close to Gallery Space One, and Trajan did an article in Sun Times recently about it, and I am upset how the police have been treating him, and I think that he has had violations on they are citing him for violations the day before the incident happened, where the 10 police showed up at the gallery and in 4 police cars. What a fucking waste of what a waste of taxpayer money. Showed up at a gallery at the end of the event, and it was an event where donations were asked for, no pay, and they're claiming he had violations in terms of his license. But then they arrested him, and I have no idea why they arrested him. He doesn't know why they arrested him, and then they said he was under arrest, and then one of the policemen tripped and yanked his arm, and then they had 2 policemen around him. I don't know all the story, but people should be aware that this is outrageous, and I'm very upset because I know Trajan, and I was actually at the gallery an hour before this incident happened. It wasn't like it was overcrowded. It wasn't like it was crazy. It was normal night. On Milwaukee Avenue, it's 2332 or 31. I can't remember the exact address. But I just am here to support Trajan and the gallery and say, yeah, if there are, he actually won a case the day before because they cited him violations. They've been going back to this gallery over and over again. They gave him citations a month or 2 ago, and there was a court date the night before this happened, and they threw them out. So what's happening is they're citing him for these things. I don't know. There are other people who are also here for this, but
Thank you for your...
I just wanted to say I'm really upset and outraged, and I've lived in the neighborhood for 32 years.
All right, thank
Did
you
you
for
give your name if you wanted to give it?
Would you like to provide your name for the record?
Oh, Tracy Kostenbader. I'm happily giving my name.
I might need some help spelling that last name.
Oh, Kostenbader. And I'm a longtime resident.
Thank you so much for your comments. All right. Other public comments?
Yeah. I'm getting on public comment to actually ask that there be a change in roles of the district councilors, and that Councilor Laurent be removed as chair. And the reason why I'm requesting that is Councilor Laurent has a history of dereliction of duty. It took about, going back many months, we requested that the councilor bring the district commander, Linus, and Councilor Laurent prolonged and delayed and did everything to keep that from happening. And then Councilor Vargas met with Linus, and it happened almost immediately. One of the residents in our district also sent an email to Linus asking her personally if she could come to the meeting, and Laurent sent her a nasty email back saying that it's not her job to do that. He's the person that should be communicating with the commander, when the reality is that he was elected into the office to serve the people. We don't serve him, he serves us. And then also with these meetings that are going on right now, the communication, Laurent used to own communicating, when the meeting is happening and where the meeting is happening. And those emails have completely fallen off. I haven't seen any of the emails. I don't know if any of y'all have been. So communication has fallen off. And so I see it as like a dereliction of duty to residents in this community. And he's now, kind of getting in the way of us fighting for accountability. So I would like to see him removed, and I would like to see Councilor Vargas be the chair.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have any other public comments that anyone would like to share? Yes. Would you?
Going back towards, my name is Nicholas Fox. This is going towards what is happening at Space 01 with Trajan. You gave plenty of information, but just being said, for months now there has been constant police harassment from the same police over and over again. All of the warrants, not warrants, but the misdemeanors put against this place had been expunged previously before the arrest. The night of the arrest, it was everybody who was in the place who had donated and been a part of this art event had been kicked out, and as Trajan was moving around in his space, he walked past the cop. We had on live footage. We walked past the cop and that escalated towards his arrest. This is unacceptable. It is clearly a violation of free speech. A lot of the police officers were talking of that because people have guns in general in Chicago, somebody could have a gun in this space, which is clearly just racist prejudice. Speak up, please. It's clearly racist prejudice being pushed against this young black owner. We are simply like a group. I'm not even a part of it. It is simply a group of leftist, queer, BIPOC people who are expressing themselves in art, and that has been commented on a lot by the police in very negative ways. It is clearly motivation. It is not acceptable.
Thank you for your comments. Do we have any other public comments?
I am Ron Syed. I'm a local Wicker Park resident. I'm also a journalist in the city. I also want to comment on the incident at Space 01 that folks are speaking about today. Trajan said that the police did not read him his Miranda rights. I'm wondering if that's something that could be investigated or looked into. I'm also looking forward to seeing if there's any police body camera footage that can be obtained from the incident. I want to say that I've visited this space quite often. I was not there that night, but I've seen the video of his arrest. And by my look of it, the police officer was dragging his arm down, which made themselves fall over. So I'm hoping that the community can hold some accountability there. I know there's been some issue with business permits at the space, but I'm hoping there's a way to advocate for them to have the right permits so they don't have these issues again.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, we'll get to you in just a moment. We'll get the clock reset. And young lady in the back, your name, please?
My name is Sophia Bergman.
Please, please share your comments.
I'm also here to talk about the incident at Space One, and I just want to add in that I'm in support of Trajan's freedom and his ability to express himself as an artist and an organizer, and that there's common knowledge that the same police department has harassed other POC-owned businesses on the street, like the barbershop up there, and that also the art show that was going on was something that was in support of Palestinian survivors and the truth of the genocide happening currently. That's what's happening there.
And police abuse.
Yeah.
And have that in the gallery too.
Right.
I don't want to make assumptions, but we can just look at what it is and see that these are possible reasons for the harassment.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Heyman, you have a comment?
Yeah, I wanted to say that I also support, I'm sorry, I'm trouble breathing. I also support removing you, Chris, as chair. Bayani listed the problems in getting Commander Linus here and the problems about communication, and I think that I have raised the issue of the communication piece at several meetings. And I think this meeting is a prime example of what's happened. You used to send out a list, an email list to lots of people that I knew who came to these meetings, maybe not every meeting, but they came often, and none of them are getting any kind of notification. Now, I know the last time I brought this up, you said, well, David's got a list, but David's list is David's list, and that was a separate list that I signed up for. I signed up for a list that was put on a table. My understanding was an email list for these district council meetings. And I got emails from you for months saying, here's the meeting, here's the agenda, and then all of a sudden, there was a new subcommittee headed by Adam, that you all set up, headed by Adam Burke. And somehow Adam got that email list, although you both deny it, but people who signed up on the general email list were suddenly on his. You all say, oh, no, nuts. And now there's no emails going out. And you say, oh, there was a problem with that list, so I'm not going to send anything anymore. So what I see is that you are basically, it feels like you're sabotaging these meetings and trying to exclude people who might be interested in coming. And I want to see someone as chair who is going to promote the community coming to these meetings. And I don't see you doing that.
Thank you for your comments. I got it. Actually, let me get the room before we get into that. Mr. Tucker.
I support investigating any sort of police abuse with the art gallery, so we should certainly put pressure to get those involved held accountable. I'm going to disagree, though, that Councilor Laurent is trying to sabotage these meetings and to not bring about reform. If there's anybody in this room that's an impediment to change, it's Councilor Orlikoff. If you've read Jim Daly's article in the Southside Weekly, you will see that article exposed a lot of the abusive behavior that has isolated David and has made him sort of got a reputation of being pretty harsh. I mean, he's harassed aldermen and their staff. He's been disrespectful to CCPSA leadership. He's been disrespectful to constituents. So it's no wonder why people might not want to get involved. And I would certainly appreciate answers to simple questions I've asked Councilor Orlikoff. Is the 14th District interrelated with the local IPOs? If so, when did that happen? How does the council decide when to associate with other groups in a formal way outside of the meetings? These are simple, reasonable questions that any constituent should ask and any official should be able to answer. If David wants to be transparent, then he should, if he wants transparency from the police, he should be transparent himself. He's not offered any sort of transparency. So I'd like to ask the councilor, when can these questions be answered? And when can we expect an apology for your despicable, abusive behavior?
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Tucker. Any other public comments? Over here, Ms. Schmidt.
Allison Schmidt's my name. I'm going to echo what Sally and Brianni said. I think it's the time is now, actually, for there to be a role change at the council level. I'm the individual who had been communicating with Commander Linus, who was told to step down by Councilor Laurent, basically told that I was not allowed to communicate with her, which was quite baffling then when she actually did come to a public meeting that we had advocated for about a year. And she told the audience, yes, you can absolutely communicate with me. Here's my email address. So I'm not going to accuse you of lying, but it certainly reads that way. So I think if we're talking about accountability, transparency, I think that's exactly what I'm talking about right now. And I too would like to see Councilor Vargas take the chair lead on this council. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Jimenez.
Hi, Gilbert Jimenez. There's a proper order to things, and I don't know what your role is in connection with the last speaker. I don't know what her role is in connection with the council. But no one other than the council members or people authorized by them can write emails speaking for the council.
That's not what I did. I can show everyone the email if you'd like
Okay,
to
we're
see
not going to
it.
have crosstalk in
That's
here,
fine.
please.
That's all. And
Thank-
I support the chairman's effort work on behalf of this committee.
Thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Did we have a hand over here? Yes. Could you please give us your name for the record?
Hi, I'm Hope. I am from Space One Gallery that has been harassed and targeted unfairly by police, culminating in the arrest of the owner of our art gallery a week ago. We're a legal art gallery operating under an art gallery license and have been unfairly targeted, hit with citations, cease and desists, and again, the unwarranted arrest of Trajan, the owner of the space. So I'm here on behalf of the space and the community to demand an investigation on that misconduct and also for the police abuse to stop. We are a DIY, local, minority-run gallery. We do a lot of programming that centers anti-colonial violence, queer people, people of color, and we are just a safe space for the community. And we would like to be able to exist and continue to provide that without threat of harassment.
Thank you for your comments. And before I get to you, I want to make certain Ms. Fortman.
Yeah, I'm looking at a couple emails that I got from David, and it looks like I got an email on August 24th letting us know about this meeting and the October meeting, and then yesterday, which was whatever date yesterday was, I received an email from him about today's meeting and what would be discussed. And also, the October meeting was listed on that. So those are two emails just about this meeting and the October meeting that I personally have received. So, and I thought at the last meeting after the discussion that everyone understood that David was going to be the one sending out notices about the meeting, and I received a follow-through, so I didn't expect anything from Mr. Laurent.
Thank you, Ms. Fortman. Let me get this gentleman and then we'll get back to you.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot something. I was also wondering if there's a way to investigate the arresting officer's last name is Robbins, 5016, and Witzak, WITCZAK, and their number is 12310. I also want to note that every time I have visited this space, they've only requested donations. There's never been a charge at the door, which I think is a point of contention for the buildings department. And this was also the week of the DNC, when I believe that officers were supposed to be patrolling the public safety measures against any sort of vandalism on the streets. And these officers focused their time at this gallery.
Thank you for your comments.
Yeah, I'd like to see if we could add an agenda point around the police harassment of Trajan to our meeting today and how to begin an investigation on this. It sounds really serious to me.
We do have a agenda point under a discussion topic under the police accountability.
Okay, we can add it in there. Great.
All right. Anything else that people would like to share with us before we close public comment? All right, that concludes the interactive portion of our meeting. We will get on to the business of the Police District Council. First and foremost, we'll get into the minutes, approval of minutes. So we got 2 months of minutes to go through. These are and before us we have the July 21, 2024 meeting, which was held at Humboldt Park Library. This was the makeup meeting that we delayed to be presented today for approval. And these were also sent out, shared out via email on August 7 for review.
Yes, thanks. For the discussion portion, I did not email updates prior to this meeting, but I would ask that
I would include more detail about, what the content was. But instead of that, I'd ask just to include either links or attachments to just a link is fine, to the articles referenced. So Orlikov spoke about the SPLC issuing a statement on the matter. So I just like that statement to be linked.
Okay, insert web link.
And then, or attach, whatever happens to be easier. And the OIG, the OIG had two recommendations about the BIA investigations into the Oath Keepers. So I'd like to link to those 3 items.
Okay.
And I can send you those links.
That's that was my next question. Okay, beside that, everything okay?
Yes.
All right, Council Vargas, any comments?
No comments.
Oh, sorry. The name WBEZ reporter, I'll double check, but instead of Chan, I believe it's QIN, Chin. Double check that. That's also under discussion from David. And the the middle body paragraph.
Okay, I've got it circled here. If you could, just for economy of time.
QIN.
QIN.
Thanks.
QIN, all right. Okay, with those corrections in there, do we have any objections to any of that?
No.
Okay, no objections. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the July 21, 2024 minutes as submitted and amended?
Motion to approve as submitted and amended.
Can I get a second?
A second.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, passes as noted. And like I said, before we publish them, I'll make certain that it's got the information that you'll send to me.
Yes.
And this is 9/7. All right, and next we have August 3, 2024 minutes to review. These were also submitted to you on the in that same email of August 7th.
In the discussions, the third line, I would amend, I can just say it here, if it's, discuss the BIA investigations which found no wrongdoing which found no wrongdoing. When examining extremist ties within CPD. Could you read that back, if that's all right? Or should I repeat it?
Well, no, I'm a little confounded here, and I'll explain.
Okay.
I'll explain why it's boring. It's a little bit of its verbiage.
Okay.
And I'll explain myself here. We would still have to call it alleged, especially considering their investigation didn't support any of that. So, fair is fair. We have if they have not been adjudicated to have done anything.
I can reword it.
Okay.
But scratch that. Okay, so discuss the BIA investigations into CPD members known to have been Oath Keepers or Proud Boys. Period, I guess. Period.
I think I might have something that might encapsulate
That's it.
capture the spirit. BIA investigation into the CPD members who have historically had ties with these groups or extremist groups. That capture the spirit proper.
Who were known to who had been members. I wanted to say that they were members because that part is not up for debate.
Who were members, we'll say. So, We won't say historically, we'll say, and to CPD members and to CPD officers who were members of these extremist groups.
Sure.
Capture the spirit. I'm just trying to make certain it's clear without laying any kind of intention or blame there.
Sure.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, I just want to know, like, the language that you use for, like, my comments. Why does it say claims that it was put together by the Logan Square Chamber of Commerce? Claims the meeting was closed for business owners and the invitation to attend. And then recapitulated the COPA complaint that has been repeated in many other meetings to the benefit of Borneo attendee.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand that language.
Recapitulated, so you recap.
No. I just feel like the language, yeah.
No, recapitulate is just a fancier
Well, no,
way of saying
I'm not
recap.
focusing on that, recapitulated, but
So what would you like omitted, if that's the
a
case?
different word for claims?
States.
States?
Well, do you have anything do you have anything to shore it up? So which line are we talking about here?
Both, the second sentence, claims, huh? No.
Well, we'll
just
say states. I'll agree with states.
And then just a lot of different, okay. And then recapitulated the COPA complaint that has been repeated in many other meetings to the benefit of one new attendee. Sure, we can keep that.
Okay.
But please change claims, and for future references, don't use that for like anything I state. I'm not
Okay.
claiming I'm stating.
Any other corrections on?
Just the language. Thank you.
I've got my note here to say state.
I have one on this page.
Okay.
The last line of my updates on the same page. So it mentioned the method. It mentioned the new method by which the Area 5 detectives will be designated into murder and robbery is fine. Or, yeah, capital and other crimes, but yeah. Just, that hadn't been the standard practice. That's a new policy.
Right. Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right.
Is there any way we can get copies of these meeting minutes in advance so that the community can look at them and also contact counselors and say, this is not right, that's not what I said, things like that?
So I am working on a bylaw to take it away from the hands of the chair and have staff write the minutes so it can be less biased, because we have seen minutes and comments left out in the past.
Yep.
Under Chris being chair.
Okay.
So we can definitely do that, and then we can also add in the bylaw that it should be shared maybe I don't know, I'm still developing the bylaw, but we can chat.
Yeah, you want to
interactive portion is complete. So that being said,
this is important. So I mean, we can amend minutes after they're published.
Yes.
So if there's something that needs to be amended, you can raise that to be corrected later on.
Yeah.
So that is still an option. And in addition to our published minutes, we often have the recordings preserved on the Facebook page, and sometimes the documenters have their own more verbatim transcript as well. That's it.
Okay.
Thanks. So, with the corrections provided by Councilor Vargas, changing the word claims to states, the new method on your comments, on your updates, and the rewording of discuss the BIA investigation into the CPD officers who were members of these extremist groups.
Thank you.
Do we have anything else to add or subtract?
I'm good.
All right. Can we get a motion to pass the minutes from August 3, 2024 as submitted and amended?
Yeah, motion to pass the minutes as amended.
And second? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. These minutes have been passed. And once we get those corrections done, we will send them up and have them published through the normal protocol. All right, District Council updates. Councilor Vargas, did you want to go first on this one?
I don't have any updates. other than thank you for everyone who showed up at the art build. The art build was very successful. It was before the DNC, and it was to show solidarity between hyperlocal public safety to the safety in Gaza, because we know it's all interconnected, and the money they use on war can be coming back to our communities. So thank you everyone who showed up, and I really hope to continue planning future events like that. And then for the Space 01 gallery, I do recommend someone file a COPA complaint, and then in that COPA complaint, you all should include everybody who was a witness that day, and then they will call you over to the COPA office, and then you all can go in unison and testify together. It'll be at separate hours, but you will be in community together at the COPA office that same day, which is what I did when there was a sergeant in the 14th district using very racist comments towards migrants. Several people in the mutual aid experienced the same behavior from that sergeant, so we all went to COPA together after I filed the COPA complaint. So there should be one initiator that includes everybody who was present. And then a year later, it was sustained. It does take time, but the more witnesses, the better. And that's how we should begin the initiation to investigating the officers. Yes?
Oh, I just had a question. Like, what do we do about, like, well, I know it's on the agenda maybe, but what do we do about our friend who has charges against us that are false charges?
So I can get back to you with more answers, but yeah.
Everybody cares more about this.
Definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Council Vargas?
That's all for me.
All right, Council Orlikoff, I'm pretty certain you're going to have updates.
Yeah.
You go first.
Okay, I'll go first. Let's see. Okay, a couple things that of note that I participated in. See, first and foremost, I did attend National Night Out. Wonderful turnout as was the previous year. Got to meet a lot of people. Spoke with the commander and Sergeant Lawson at length, as well as Sergeant Edens, who's our CAPS sergeant. Attended the Public Safety Committee's meeting, which was very fruitful. Unfortunately, Mr. Burke's not here to recap that, but we'll get you, if anybody that's interested, we can provide notes from those meetings. I also did attend the CCPSA Commission meeting regarding the pretextual traffic stops as well. Couple of things of note that are not on the agenda that I just want to bring to the attention. I don't know if you heard about the shooting at the CTA station, Logan Square, yesterday morning, I believe it was. So that's a little bit more public safety minded, and I want to make certain that we're being cognizant and being more aware of what's going on around us. With that, I have no other updates. So
Okay. Well, what about the shooting?
it's still pending. The investigation's still pending.
We're not a CAPS meeting, but thank you for bringing that up.
I'm very well aware of what kind of a meeting we're in.
Okay.
Councilor Vargas, I actually have a question for you. Are you able to help them file the COPA complaint? Is that something that you can do?
Yeah, we can do that together.
Councilor Vargas, I got a question.
We can chat after this.
Please, please hold your, I'm going to ask everyone in attendance to please hold your questions. If you'd like, we can stick around independently and answer questions further. We're trying to economize the time, especially with the public presentation going on today. So
I'm very excited for this presentation.
all right. What can
Trying
I
to make sure that we're
updates? Yeah,
set up
I
for
got it.
presenting. Yeah, I mean, we definitely have discussions planned on the agenda for later on, but another piece of recent news that isn't on the agenda, it came out that two officers were arrested and charged with minor charges for now, which was destruction of property under $500. But it's reported that Roberto Nieves, who is the deputy chief of Area 5, which includes the 14th district, was leading a squad, and him and another officer are on video puncturing tires with knives on June 7th, the night of the Puerto Rican parade. So I actually spoke to Jessie Fuentes this morning when I was walking a dog, and she was cleaning up in Humboldt Park. She said she spoke to Superintendent Snelling last night. Jessie, as well as a couple other alders, Lillian Jimenez, and I forget who else, not alder, other representatives, sorry, heads, wrote a public letter that got into the media calling for Roberto Nieves not to serve as leadership within CPD after this incident. So he was already demoted to the rank of captain, and what Jessie Fuentes, alderperson of the 26th Ward, told me this morning as a result of her conversation with Larry Snelling last night was that he committed that Roberto Nieves would not be working in the 14th district, and that he would, not be in as much of a leadership position. Although I don't think that there may be, they probably are not able to summarily demote him below the rank of captain without the discipline process that now goes to private arbitration. So anyway, that's one update. Couple other things. We have at the table CPD consent decree. There are live forms, but there's also, it might be easier, the QR code. The CCPSA, the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability, the commission every year does CPD budget review, is one of they set annual goals for different public safety departments, and one of their annual tasks is doing a review of CPD's budget. So they don't control the budget, that is part of city council for the whole city, but they give a review of CPD's budget. So they're soliciting community feedback. So grab one, share it with people if you like, but it's just one question basically. Well, it's one, at first is your name, but then the only question is, what would you like to see, in the budget? And really they're looking for priorities. Like, what would you want to invest more in, or what would you want to invest less in? A major policy push of this council's work has been to try to get there to be much less investment in traffic stops, which we also have our own survey that's on the table. So that's the budget review. The consent decree, the federal consent decree court is soliciting public comments for a public hearing on Tuesday, September 10th from 1 to 4:30 p.m. You need to register before 4:30 p.m. on Monday, September 9th, so pretty reasonable there. You can register up to the end of day on Monday the 9th for the hearing, which is virtual, on Tuesday, September 10th in the afternoon. And then you can give a public comment to the federal court. So the consent decree governs a lot of things in Chicago. It was supposed to have been a 5-year project, but they have 6% completion currently. So it's going to be around for a while, and they're supposed to be taking the community's concerns into heart. They're also likely taking on the pretextual traffic stop policy now, or that's basically been confirmed. So you can speak to the consent decree about the need to have a robust policy to ban pretextual traffic stops that killed Dexter Reed. 1 second. Oh, and I don't have a QR code for the consent decree hearing. I posted the link in my email. If you are not on the list, I would recommend that you reach out to me to get the registration, or you can search for the Chicago Consent Decree Independent Monitor. You could try to find it on Google, but otherwise reach out to me. At our next district council meeting on the 5th, we will have we have a great speaker today, which we'll introduce soon. Next on the 5th, we'll also have a speaker who's the Deputy Inspector for Public Safety of the Chicago Inspector General's Office, Tobara Richardson. So definitely looking forward to that. And I put a vote on the agenda for today to have the council sign an amicus brief opposing private FOP arbitration which is something that individual counselors have signed on to previously. One quick second, that might be it. Or, to quickly recap, a co-counselor mentioned the CCPSA hearing on pretextual stops. I thought it was great. It's been reported in outlets like the Sun-Times and Tribe, Block Club. There is a majority of district counselors now across the city who support the freedom of policy. Sorry, question?
Yeah, can you explain the amicus brief? Because I don't
Oh,
think people in this meeting.
sure, sorry about that.
And the arbitration background.
Yeah, amicus, I believe, and this is new, I believe it means that the party issuing it is giving sort of they're not a direct party to the suit itself, so they're giving a perspective sort of as like the public good that the law will impact or whatever, the case law. So it's being filed by University of Chicago, Craig Futterman, as well as other law students and other people in the CPAT group, like Chicago. I have
For police accountability and transparency.
Yeah. Thank you.
And
Yeah.
the background on the arbitration thing.
Yes. So essentially, the police board used to issue rulings on disciplinary cases for officers. Police had the option to go to a private arbitrator selected by the union for cases that were less severe than a year of punishment, of suspension or firing, and they argued successfully to have the ability to go to a private arbitration for all cases, including even the most egregious offenses, capital crimes, etc. So what that means is that it's possible that the superintendent, the police board, everybody, the mayor can all agree, the superintendent can want to fire an officer, and it may not be possible for them to fire that officer because the decision ultimately will go to a private arbitrator. Currently, they are fighting to make those arbitration rulings stay private, even for the most egregious cases, and there is a battle in the courts to make at least those arbitrator rulings more public and transparent, which is a very low bar at this point.
Do you want to give your update on Take Back the Block?
Oh, thank you very much. That's probably, that was the last thing. Friday, right, so we had the traffic stop hearing, and then the experts there were great. There were experts from out of town, from places that have instituted policies already. So I was very impressed with their testimony, and that's recorded. The CCPSA pretextual hearing is on YouTube. And yes, on Friday, not yesterday, but a week before yesterday, the mayor, Brandon Johnson, had a Take Back the Block on 1450 North Spalding with a number of city agencies, and as well as the alderperson Jessie Fuentes and her 26th Ward Public Safety Committee. So that is in response to violence that had happened in the area, and it's to bring resources to residents and positive space activation. It is not, it's the alder people, Jessie Fuentes and Carlos Rosa, have been doing for a long time. Instead of Take Back the Block, which was stationary with tables, they've been doing walk the block events where they're knocking on the neighbors' houses and going down a couple blocks where there's been impact. So it's part of the public safety strategy that they've been doing, and it coincided with the mayor's strategy. And yeah, so I was able to table there in an official capacity, thanks to Bernardo, a newly assigned staff member of the city. I will forget his agency, something. It's part of the public health department, but it's for community safety support. All right, that's good. Thanks.
That's all your updates?
Yeah.
All right, we'll get right into the discussions. And since you invited the speaker, we'll give you the liberty to introduce him.
Thank you very much. Yes, so we definitely on the agenda do have listed a discussion around Space One, but we are starting with a special guest speaker who is Carlton Mayers II, Esquire, who is here with us in person today, and he is going to be speaking about the police decertification process. To be a member of law enforcement, you are certified by an Illinois law enforcement board. There has been automatic decertification in the past, but the Safety Act, the Illinois Safety Act, that changed pretrial detentions and did other things, that introduced some changes to the police decertification process, and we're going to be able to hear about that.
And if we could get a copy of his slide deck for the...
would you be able to send us the slides after?
Well, I guess
it might be some proprietary.
They're already up on the website.
Oh, perfect.
It's already
Okay.
free.
Yes, so we can. Okay, so yeah, so once more, we have with us Carlton Mayers II, and thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. I was gonna ask if you could give me 2 minutes.
Sure.
We're
Okay.
still having some technical difficulties. I apologize, everybody.
No problem.
Make sure that you can see the slides, and right now I'm having a little.
Oh, well, oh yeah, I'll turn off the lights, that'll help.
Sorry about that. I should be up and running in 2 minutes.
Thank you to everybody who was helping figure out the tech as well.
Thank you very much, yes. So, only thing I would ask is, because we are in a library, if somebody can grab a book that I could put under the projector so that it could remain at this position. Because if I don't have anything there, this is what you said. So, if I can just get a book in the library, I think we'll be good to go. To start the presentation.
Yeah, I got some.
Let's try one book.
Oh, you want a small book?
Yeah, the smallest one. Let's see. It used to just look. Let me try this book.
If you want something small, you can use a stack of papers.
Oh no, this book right here might be good. Okay. Okay, let me get another one. That might have to do with the fidgeting. Table. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I know some of the libraries in Chicago don't even have projectors. They have the screens. You can just connect your computer to it directly.
Would it be better off that wall over there?
Which one?
Move the racks, I don't know.
Which
It's a
one?
thought because it's
Should we project it on the wall?
bigger area of white wall
This one?
here.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Well, I don't know if we could-
I'm leaving it up to you to tell me what.
I don't know if we could turn that light off. I think that's an emergency light.
Oh,
is it?
It's fine, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
No, no,
and,
right. It looked like
and the
Sorry,
benefit,
y'all.
You know,
No, no problem.
Sorry about that.
well, and here's the added benefit. Once we approve the minutes and everything like that, we'll have a link to the website that has the slide deck. So
Okay. Okay, that's cool.
I provided the language.
Yeah.
Man.
It is, man.
Yeah, but with that blade, yeah, I think they're right. You gotta be
Language together. Okay, all right, so.
And to reorient us really quickly, just a little bit about our guest. He works with Westside NAACP as well as he works nationally as well. But he helped to provide. He helped to draft basically the policy that he's speaking about. He worked on creating it within the city, so he's a bit of an expert.
Yeah, I will talk about all of that in 1 minute, so I wish you could see. Projectors could always be a bit challenging.
Yes.
I know that some of the libraries have a TV already. You just plug the computer into the TV.
Humboldt Park has a TV.
It's fine.
It looks good.
Yeah.
Can I be presumptuous?
Yeah, please do. Please.
Okay, cool. We might just have to scoot you back, is that cool?
Yeah,
Let's
let's do it.
But
Or
honestly, it's
forward.
fine.
You want it to be smaller?
If it could be smaller.
Sorry.
Yes, sorry.
Can you make it smaller?
we yes,
Forward to go smaller.
Okay.
But then we got the outlet. We got to find a new one.
You have a, it's fine. Let's just do it as it. I mean, it's fine.
I actually.
Sorry about that, y'all.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's cool.
When in doubt, plain logistics, right?
It's fine.
Okay, all right. No, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thank you very much.
Should we scoot it forward a little?
No, it's cool.
I don't know.
Get online as well.
Oh, that's
A little bit of a problem with it. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You think we should just move it way up and connect the. Okay.
So,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
eyeglasses. There we go.
We got this.
Thank you so much. Thank you for working with me. I apologize that you'd like to try to come in earlier. I'm sorry I didn't do that. Okay, so is it oh, is that the limit? Okay.
Tell me what. What do you say? Just break away from the table, that way we can see. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
we're
yeah.
not confined to
Yeah.
this table is what I'm getting at.
Sounds good.
Once we get back to regular business, we'll.
Sure.
Oh, the chair, we got-
Oh, yeah, good point.
Oh, thank you. Straighten out the screen. It's not a good one at all.
Yeah, I haven't started on the yeah, I was gonna do that on words.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah? Okay. 3 minutes. It's all right, I guess.
That looks good.
Looks better.
Yeah, it's not really the best.
Oh, it's fine, it's fine.
It's fine, we can see everything.
Let me just real quick.
Here's that.
That other one is what's the problem. This one really needs to go up. Maybe these need to go down. All right, I'm sorry, y'all. This is
I think that's
as good as it's going to get on this screen.
It's gonna look good.
I apologize.
It's fine.
I usually come in earlier to do this kind of technical stuff, so that's not a problem during the event. I'm sorry I did not do that today. So I apologize.
Saturday.
Yeah, it's a beautiful Saturday too. Let's see. Yeah, it's. My phone's hotspot because I was just trying to, having to wait on stuff. So I've already had y'all waiting here long enough. Okay, looks like it's coming up now. I have to let the computer go at its own pace. Right. All right. So this is what I'll do. I set up. Okay, everybody. Sorry about that. So, good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you today about implementation of Illinois' Safety, Accountability, Fairness, and Equity Today Act, also known as the Safety Act for Policing Reform, decertification. So I just want to start off by clarifying that although I'm the criminal justice chair for the NAACP Chicago Westside branch, I am only here for today's presentation, speaking as the founder and CEO of Mayor Strategic Solutions LLC, my company. I'm not here on behalf of NAACP. So through my consulting company, Mayor Strategic Solutions LLC, I work with communities across the country on solving public safety challenges by establishing their own public safety reforms centered on community empowerment through an approach that I developed called the Community Empowerment Centered Approach and its vehicle called the CAT method. C stands for community empowerment, A stands for accountability, T stands for transparency. Now, a little bit on my background, because I know not a lot was said about it. I used to direct NAACP National's Criminal Justice Reform Program back when Ben Jealous was the president. After him, President Cornell William Brooks. While I was there, I co-authored NAACP's Born Suspect, Ending Racial Profiling Report, published in 2014, provides all kinds of information on how to end racial profiling by state and local police. After that, I transitioned to Washington, D.C. to work for NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund Incorporated, where I worked under the leadership of Sherilyn Ifill as the policy counsel for the Policing Reform Campaign. I did that for about 3 years. I worked on the Ferguson, Missouri, and the Baltimore, Maryland consent decrees from negotiation through implementation. I also worked on Chicago's negotiation of Chicago's consent decree. While I was in that role, we also did our own pattern of practice investigation of the North Charleston, South Carolina Police Department. That was after Walter Scott's death, because the DOJ was too busy doing their own pattern of practice investigation of Chicago's police department. They did not have the resources to do that in South Carolina, so we did. I also worked on the Eric Gardner case in New York City while I was at Legal Defense Fund, and I worked on the Hill, I lobbied on the Hill for federal policing reform legislation, a lot of which has been included in the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. And most importantly, I did a whole bunch of work with President Obama's administration for about 5 years while I was at both NAACP National Office and at Legal Defense Fund, respectively, specifically on the 21st Century Policing Task Force report recommendations and other White House initiatives on policing reform from President Obama. So with all of that said, and about 15 years of experience doing this work at least, traveling the country to more than 30 states, working with not only black communities and underserved communities, but also with undocumented populations, also with poor white populations, college students, pretty much anybody who has a negative experience with law enforcement, I have worked with those populations on finding solutions, okay? So with all of those 15 years of doing that across the country, what I've done is now created my own approach called the Community Empowerment Centered Approach and the CAT method. Now I'm going to talk a bit about what that is because that feeds into the language of the Safety Act as it relates to decertification. So real quick, with all that experience in 2020, I started my company and I did a lot of work with state lawmakers across the country who were trying to find solutions for police accountability. I worked on laws that passed in Wisconsin, Indiana, Missouri, Maryland, and where we are today, Illinois, with the Illinois Safety Act. So related to today's presentation, since the highly publicized deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and most recently Sonia Massey, communities have grappled with how best to hold law enforcement officers who commit misconduct accountable and prevent them from engaging in future misconduct. In addition to internal administrative discipline by law enforcement agencies, which results in either or could result in either the termination or suspension of law enforcement. There are also, law enforcement officers can also be held accountable for misconduct through criminal liability, meaning you commit a crime, you get convicted, you plead guilty, you plead nolo contender, we lock you up, we incarcerate you, right? Okay? Civil liability, meaning you violate our constitutional rights, now we're able to hold you liable in court for money, for monetary damages, right? So that's civil liability. And then lastly, decertification, meaning I'm a lawyer, I have a license to practice law. Doctors have a license to be a doctor. Cosmologists have a license to do nails and to do toes, okay? These are professional fields that have standards and require a license or certificate to show that you are qualified to do that job. Law enforcement also have a license. Just like me, if I do something I'm not supposed to do, my license can get revoked. I cannot practice law. With law enforcement, You do something you're not supposed to do, your license can get revoked. You're not able to be a police officer in that state anymore. So that's what decertification is. We're going to talk a lot about that today because in Illinois, that is the best way under state law to hold any law enforcement officer accountable forever. Not just right now, not just tomorrow, but forever. Okay, we don't want you harassing, traumatizing, or victimizing any more people. The buck stops here. Okay, that's what decertification does. And that's what we need. So, real quick, before we do that, I'm going to talk about my approach because you have to understand the principles and the values behind the language in the Safety Act in order to understand how it's meant to be enforced and implemented. So like I said earlier, I work with communities across the country. Now when I say communities, I mean community groups, law enforcement, I mean state and local government officials, I mean private business, I also mean the local media. So I work with all of those different stakeholders on public safety in communities around the country on breaking out of their silos to be able to come together as one community to support public safety and in police accountability through more so proactive rather than reactive strategies, okay? So the way I do that is through the Community Empowerment Centered approach and its vehicle, the CAP method. Now, as you can see here on this slide, the CAP method consists of 3 components. Each component must be achieved in order for the CAP method to be successful. The first component is community empowerment. Now, this entails community members, especially those who are living in neighborhoods where there's both high levels of crime, like community violence, like reckless driving, like robberies, etc. And in these blocks, in these zip codes, in these areas, you also have a history of negative police interactions, like racial profiling, excessive use of force, sexual misconduct, etc. So you have community members who are living in neighborhoods where they have to both deal with criminals and with cops who act like criminals and have a history of doing that. How do those particular community members who live there, their kids go to school there, their parents go to church there, they go to the supermarket there, they don't get to leave. How do they get to stay safe? Okay? So what the Community Empowerment Center approach says is that those particular individuals who are most directly impacted by public safety challenges need to be involved in, need to have knowledge of, and most importantly, need to have meaningful decision-making authority over all direct police-civilian interactions, like stops, arrests, uses of force, surveillance technology. It's a big topic, and it's only going to get bigger. The way that protests are handled. And even when it comes to developing and deploying strategies for anti-gun trafficking, anti-drug trafficking, anti-human trafficking. The people most directly impacted have to be at the helm of decision-making. And the reason being is that the people who are closest to the problems are also the people closest to the solutions. So if we're not making sure that those individuals are at the helm of decision-making, then we are not going to be coming up with long-term solutions for long-term problems. In other words, we're not going to be applying stitches to what needs stitches rather than applying Band-Aids to something that needs stitches, okay? So if we want to apply stitches, we've got to do it with this emphasis on the people that are most directly impacted being at the helm, because they are experts, even more so than law enforcement, because they live in those communities. They understand certain nuances and relationships and histories that law enforcement does not understand. So they actually are the ones who are the real experts of public safety in their community. We have to put them in the driver's seat, okay? So the next component is accountability. This involves creating an inhospitable environment for those who engage in misconduct by establishing both internal and external accountability mechanisms that work together. And then lastly is transparency, which I define as the interconnectedness and coordination amongst what I call 4 aspects of the community on public safety, as you're going to see here on the next slide. So first we have law enforcement. This includes state and local police, sheriff's office, etc. Then we have elected and appointed government officials. This also includes government employees. Lastly, then we have community members. This includes directly impacted individuals, community-based organizations, direct service providers, faith-based organizations and leaders, and private business, etc. And then last but not least, we have the local press and news media. Now, according to my definition of transparency, all 4 of these aspects of the community need to work together as one community to support public safety and ensure police accountability through more so proactive rather than reactive strategies. So, with that said, let's talk about what we're here to talk about today. What exactly is decertification under Illinois state law, and how does that relate to police accountability? So, as you can see here on the slide, and I hope, can everybody see the slide, or is it unclear? Yes? Okay, all right, thank you. As you can see here on the slide, a certification or license provides a law enforcement officer with his or her authority, including the authority to carry and use a firearm and make arrests as a law enforcement officer. Revoking this license, also called decertification, takes away this authority from law enforcement officers. Most importantly, decertification ensures police accountability by preventing a law enforcement officer who is engaged in misconduct from transferring from one law enforcement agency to another and thus becoming a wandering officer. So real quick, I want to make an important point. So the way that a license or certification works when it comes to law enforcement is that in order for a police officer to use force on anybody, okay, and be able to get police union contract protections and privileges, be able to get federal, state, and local law protections and privileges, they have to have a license and certification. In order for them to arrest somebody and get protections and privileges under police union contract, under federal, state, and local law, they have to have certification, they have to have a license. In order for them to transfer from one police department to another, they have to have a license, they have to have certification. So in other words, if they don't have a license, then what that means is, let's say they use force on somebody. The only protection under the law that they can use is the same protection that any one of us can use, which is self-defense. Okay? If they want to arrest somebody and they don't have a license, the only way that they can do it is the way that we can do it, a citizen's arrest. Okay? They're not able to transfer from an agency to another without a license. So that's how much power and authority is granted to law enforcement through certification and license. So when you take that away, you revoke it, you decertify them, you take all of those powers and privileges away, including under police union contracts. Okay, so when we talk about how do we get around the police union contract to be able to hold law enforcement accountable for misconduct, under Illinois law, this is one of the best ways, if not the best way to do it, is through decertification. Rather than trying to become a part of the negotiation process or the collective bargaining agreement process, and let's now negotiate with the police union. Good luck on that, okay? There's a lot of cities that have done that. Austin, Texas, Cincinnati, Ohio. What's going on there now? Okay, it's not looking good. The police still have power. Good luck with negotiating with them. You have a better bet with filing a complaint and taking away that license when an officer is engaged in misconduct, at taking away any privileges they get under union contract, rather than trying to, sorry about that. Oh, that's even better. Rather than trying to engage with the collective bargaining agreement process, which, like I said, is already in the favor of law enforcement. So the whole point is this. The decertification process is the best way in Illinois to ensure that a law enforcement officer who is engaged in misconduct cannot become a wandering officer. In other words, transferring from one law enforcement agency to another without any accountability by revoking his or her license. Now, wandering officers are a real problem, as seen by the former officer who killed Eric Gardner in New York City. So that officer, he had been bumping around, reassigned from one NYPD precinct to another, engaging in misconduct, never being held accountable, until ultimately he ended up in Long Island, where he killed Eric Gardner. The same thing could be said about the former officer that killed Mike Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Prior to working at the Ferguson Police Department, he had left a previous law enforcement agency where he was under investigation for misconduct. While he was under investigation, he resigned and then got the job at Ferguson Police Department, where he then killed Mike Brown. The same thing can be said about Breonna Taylor, where in fact, the law enforcement officer who killed Breonna Taylor in Louisville, Kentucky, he recently faced prosecution for alleged misconduct at another law enforcement agency after he had already been fired and terminated from the Louisville Metropolitan Police Department, where he had killed Breonna Taylor. So he is currently a wandering officer. And then Sonia Massett, we know here in Illinois, even more recent than that, former Deputy Grayson, who had transferred among 6 different law enforcement agencies in a matter of 4 years, okay, without ever being monitored, ever being flagged for any kind of misconduct, even though he had a record. Maybe it would not have gotten him decertified, but the fact that he was transferring to so many agencies in such a short period of time, that should have been a red flag that he should have been suspended his license and then figure out what's going on with that, right? It never happened. And ultimately, he ended up killing Sonia Massey. We all saw that on video, okay? So the whole point is this. Wandering officers are a problem, okay? We know about former Deputy Grayson because of what he did. There are a lot of former Deputy Graysons all throughout the state of Illinois, including in Cook County and Chicago, that none of us know about. Some of us do. But at the end of the day, they're still on the force with the license and all of the power and authority that comes with that license and certification, okay? So that's the problem with wandering officers. Now, what's the solution? Okay, so let's talk about what the certification process looks like under Illinois state law.
Could you
So-
move that over a little?
Oh, sorry about that, yes, sorry.
That's good.
So I want to make sure this is not, oh yeah, I think the book is starting to come off. Hold up. You know, it actually might be me. Sorry about that. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not going to go anywhere near this wire. I'm going to make sure it stays right there. Okay, sorry about that. So, I'm going to talk about what a LESPE is in a minute, but before we do that, this is the certification process. In other words, this is the process for if you want to become a police officer in the state of Illinois, this is how you get your license. And so the law in Illinois that governs certification and decertification in Illinois, and also governs all law enforcement trainings in the state of Illinois, is the Illinois Police Training Act. That law was amended by the Safety Act to expand the list of conduct to prevent certification and waiver by the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board, also known as ILETSB, a LETSB. So a LETSB is the state entity in the state of Illinois who's responsible for certifying and decertifying all law enforcement in the state of Illinois who are not Illinois State Police. ISP have their own separate certification board. They do it different than the rest of the police in the state of Illinois. But everybody else, including Chicago PD, Cook County Sheriff's Office, all of them fall under a LESPE when it comes to certification and decertification. A LESPE is also responsible for developing the curriculum and training for all law enforcement in the state of Illinois. So anything related to trainings, they're the #1 source, even more than the police department. It's going to be a LESPE. So just know they are a very important state entity when we talk about any kind of changes being made to law enforcement, any kind of reforms, any kind of accountability. You need to have them be a part of that if you want to have real accountability, because they have a lot of power over everything with law enforcement. So an employing agency may not, okay, so before I even say that, so when it says certification, what that means is, let's say you're a law enforcement, you're somebody who's never had any training in law enforcement, you've never been an officer, you're brand new to the field. You have to go through certain required trainings in order for you to get certified, okay? So that's what certification is. Now, waiver, also called recertification, what that means is, let's say you were an officer and then you left for whatever reason. Now you want to come back into the police force. In order for you to get recertified, because you've already been through the mandatory trainings, they will waive you from having to do the trainings again, and you can still get the same certification as somebody who's never been through the trainings and now has to do it all over again. So just know that that's what that language means when it says certification, new recruit, waiver. That means you're somebody who's done it before, you left, and now you're coming back, all right? And they also call it recertification for waiver, because you're getting recertified. So an employing agency may not grant a person status as a law enforcement officer unless that person has been granted an active law enforcement officer certification by a LESPE. Inactive status means a person who has an inactive law enforcement officer certification has no law enforcement authority. Remember, we talked about that. No power at all without that license. A law enforcement officer certification becomes inactive upon termination, resignation, retirement, or separation from the officer's employing governmental agency for any reason. So what that means is, in the state of Illinois, once a law enforcement officer is not working for a law enforcement agency, they are automatically decertified. They do not have any police authority, okay? The only way that they can get police authority again is if they get a job at another law enforcement agency, or they go back to their previous law enforcement agency. While they're in that in-between phase where they're not working for anybody, they're a regular citizen, just like you or I. So anything they do, when they don't have a license, like I said before, they can only have the same protections that we have, okay? So that's important to know, that you need to be working at a law enforcement agency in order for you to have a license. You cannot not work there and still have a license. That's not how it works in Illinois. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so this is the decertification process in Illinois. So, and this is important. This is, in my opinion, the most important slide out of all of them as it relates to this audience. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you why right now. So, any person, member of the public, can directly notify a LETSB about law enforcement officer certification violations. And the second bullet, a LETSB will accept notice and investigate any allegations from members of the public who remain anonymous. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why this is such a big deal. This is a big deal nationally, and this is a big deal for Illinois. Number one, prior to the Safety Act passing into law, the only way that an officer could be decertified is if a police chief or a sheriff had filed a complaint with a LETSB saying this officer committed a felony, you know, they're convicted, blah, 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 I want them out. Okay, that's it. Now that the Safety Act passed, the legislative Black Caucus who led this effort, they expanded who could file a complaint to initiate the decertification process to now include civilians, not just police chiefs and sheriffs, and civilians can do it anonymously. And it still has to be addressed the same way or similarly to how a police chief or a sheriff, when they file a complaint, how that would get addressed by a LETSB. That is giving us, right? Remember we talked about the community empowerment-centered approach, empowering the community, not having the power be concentrated with just one group. Empower everybody, right? Especially the people most directly impacted. What is the easiest way to do that? By allowing them to file a complaint without any restrictions. And if you could do it anonymously, you don't have to worry about any retaliation, okay? So that is a big deal, not only for community empowerment, but most importantly, when we talk about how do we actually get police accountability done on the state level, okay? We have to connect the local to the state. That's how we do it, because all of this stuff is happening on the local level. And if the state is not aware of it, like what happened with Sonia Massey and Deputy Grayson, all of that was happening locally. A LETSB wasn't aware of it, now Sonia Massey's not here anymore, okay? We have to connect the dots with the local and the state if we want real long-term police accountability. This language allows for that, okay? So I want to make sure we're clear. Any one of us can file a complaint against any officer in the state of Illinois that could initiate the decertification process and take away that authority, that power that we talked about earlier. You have the power to do that now. It's not just the police chief and the sheriff. This is huge, okay? Most states don't allow this under their state law, okay? Illinois is one of the only ones, and we were one of the first ones to do it in this manner. And I'm gonna tell you why right now, because not only did Illinois under state law allow civilians to file a complaint, they also said civilian oversight authorities and state's attorneys can directly notify a LETSB about certification violations. And they say within 7 days of becoming aware of it. I'm gonna talk about that in 1 minute, but just know that CCPSA, I got you, COPA, the Office of Inspector General, who was mentioned earlier, the police board, and the district councils, okay? They now under explicitly, not implied, explicitly in the language of the law, have the power to file a complaint directly with a LETSB. So today, I heard you guys going over all these issues of things that have happened here in Chicago as of recent with police complaints. Well, guess what? If that arises to decertification, those actions, you can file that complaint yourself. The district council can file that complaint now that they have those complaints with a LETSB, okay? That's power you did not have before the Safety Act passed. You have that now, all right? Something else that can happen is that when a governmental agency or a member of the public submits notice of violation, a LETSB usually investigates it, but a civilian oversight authority can also investigate it. So let's say CPD is conflicted in investigating the incident because they have a role or their BIA has a role in it. Well, guess what? CCPSA or OIG or COPA, they can investigate the complaint, submit their investigation to a LETSB, and a LETSB will use that to determine if they're going to decertify the officer or not. Now, the way it typically works is that the law enforcement agency where the officer is employed, they're the ones that do the investigation. I'm not going to lie, I have an issue with that. I don't like that, but most states, that's how it's done. And because of that, and I'm gonna wrap it. Can you give me 2 or 3 minutes to wrap it up? Okay, thank you. I'm gonna wrap it up because I'm gonna tell you why that's a problem in a minute. But just real quick, I want you to know this. where it says that 7 days of becoming aware of it, just so that the district councils understand this, that statute of limitations does not exist right now, okay? The reason being is that there are no rules and regulations that LSP has established for how all of this is supposed to operate. They're still in the process of getting the rulemaking process going. So because of that, all we have is a state law, and LSP, whatever they do in regards to implementing it, there's nothing that says you have to do it this way. They're still working out that language. And so
there's no statute of limitations. So if you
Right,
became
yeah.
aware of something more than 7 days ago,
you can still do it.
file.
And they still have to investigate it, yep.
Okay.
Because there's no rules to say that.
Is there a time frame for when they would have to investigate, either initiate or complete investigation? Timeline?
So from what I've read, they usually give law enforcement agencies about 90 days to do that, and then they give them the results, and if they want more information, they do have the power to subpoena the information from the law enforcement agency. Yeah. Well, real quick, I'm gonna wrap it up real quick. So I want to let you know, the format different from the form provided can be submitted. This has to do with the complaint form, which this is a copy of it. I was going to show you real quick how to access it online. I don't know if I have time for that, but just know that on this form, this is off of LSP's website. You see on the top, give the information of the officer. It actually lists out what actions would make an officer eligible to be decertified. That's all that checklist there. So you can actually look at that and determine, okay, is my complaint, does it fall under this? And if it does, write out, see that narrative portion? You write out your narrative on what happened. The next page, you put your name, and you see those two boxes where it says, do you consent to provide your identity? That's the anonymity piece we talked about. So you don't have to provide your name, and they still have to address it and investigate it. So, and then you have the witness information. So all of that is easily to access on LSP's website. Maybe at the end, if I have real quick time, I can show you, but I just want to let you know real quick, when it comes to decertification, officers who are involved in the incident, police chiefs and sheriffs, they have 14 days from when they are made known about that incident that they have to inform LSP of it. So when we talk about Deputy Grayson, when he transferred from Logan to Sangamon County as a deputy, Logan was supposed to inform LSP about his record, because LSP didn't know about all that stuff, okay? They didn't tell him, but they talked to the sheriff at Sangamon County about his record. You see how they left LSP, the state entity, out of it, and were able to get a bad officer transferred. And the reason being, in my opinion, is because LSP is not being monitored. You know, all of this is happening and nobody's overseeing LSP's activities. And so that's why LSP is falling through the cracks on, monitoring people that need to be monitored. But just know this, automatic decertification means that if an officer commits a criminal action, in other words, if they're convicted of, found guilty of, plead guilty, or nolo contender to any felony in the state of Illinois, and certain misdemeanors, specifically ones that are fraudulent in nature, sexual in nature, or violent in nature, then they can be automatically decertified. Meaning, once you're convicted, once you plead, boom, we take away your license. There's no hearing, nothing. It's gone. Bye-bye. But that's only for convictions for any and all felony and certain misdemeanors. The misdemeanors you can actually see here. This is a list of them. These are all the misdemeanors that makes them an officer decertifiable. And they're on the website of LSP. You can see it says like harassment of witnesses, harassment through electronic communication, harassment of representatives for child jurors, witnesses, and others, etc. So, and all that's on the website as well that I'll provide you the link. Last thing to know, discretionary, prior to the Safety Act, there was only certain felonies that would make an officer eligible for decertification. Now with the Safety Act, any and all felonies and certain misdemeanors, so that's been broadened out. And then there's another pathway to decertify officers called discretionary decertification, which is the one that falls under what we talked about, where a civilian or civilian oversight authority would file the complaint. For automatic, it's only police chiefs and sheriffs that can file that report. For discretionary, anybody can file it. Now, discretionary means that it could be an action that the officer did that's criminal in nature, or an action that's not criminal, but is still unethical. For instance, tampering with body-worn camera, dash camera equipment and footage, not intervening when another officer is engaging in misconduct, using excessive force, even if it's not considered a criminal charge, perjury, lying, willfully lying while you're on duty. Any of these actions and anything else that's considered unethical and deleterious for the badge can make you eligible to be decertified. And that's where us, the civilians, we can file those complaints. Okay, and then LSP has to address. Now, I'm not going to read all of that, but what I will say is that The decertification process, once again, is independent of criminal, civil, and internal disciplinary hearing processes. So just know that the investigations done with all of those other processes, the decision-making process for them, is completely separate and autonomous from Alespe's work. So they can say somebody's not guilty. They can say you're not going to get a monetary judgment or you're not going to get fired, and Alespe can still decertify them. Okay, if they find that they engaged in some unethical action, et cetera. Okay, so they're completely separate from each other. But Alespe does rely on the law enforcement agency where the person is employed at, the officer, to do the initial investigation. So to me, that's where there's some gray area that can mess things up. So, so I just want to make sure you know that. One last thing about this point is that the Safety Act expands the police officer's eligibility for decertification to include the commission of any felony and certain misdemeanors. This ensures that police accountability extends beyond criminal liability to also include an officer losing his or her authority and ability to be a police officer. And then for police misconduct, the Safety Act states that Alespe may decertify or revoke the waiver of a law enforcement officer who in the course of their duties have quote-unquote committed perjury, made a false statement, or knowingly tampered with or fabricated evidence, or engaged in any unprofessional, unethical, deceptive, or deleterious conduct or practice harmful to the public, end quote. And then lastly, given this language, we have an additional and impactful way to address CPD officers who have engaged in misconduct that may not be criminal, but is still disturbing and unethical. And that's huge, because, even just hearing some stuff here today, there's some things that may not rise to criminal, but could still fall under unethical. So that's the power that we have under the state law. And I'm gonna let you know, Impact for Equity, they published a report about 2 months ago on the decertification process in Illinois. Is it working? Is it not working? And according to them, last year, there were a little bit under 200 civilian complaints filed with Alespe statewide for decertification. Out of those, and all of them fall under the discretionary decertification pathway, out of all of those, how many of them do you think resulted in an officer getting decertified? One? Anybody else?
0.
Okay, we got a winner, chicken dinner. 0. Okay? Ever since the Safety Act has passed into law, we are still doing what we did prior to the Safety Act. Only decertifying officers through the automatic decertification pathway, meaning they either plead guilty or they're found guilty, convicted of committing a felony or certain misdemeanors. That's it. If it's anything that's not criminal but unethical, there have not been any officers to this date who have been decertified for that. And there have been at least just under 200 complaints filed by civilians last year alone. Okay, so that already tells us that there's a problem with the way that this law is being enforced. And that's why I think, number one, and then this is the takeaways from today's presentation. JCAR rulemaking process, I'm sorry, it's a little unclear. There we go. JCAR rulemaking process. So in Illinois, JCAR is the quasi subcommittee in the state government. They're the ones that are responsible for the rules that are made that provide guidance for laws that are passed in the state of Illinois. Now, Alespe, they are responsible for drafting their own rules on how they plan on implementing the state law, and then they're going to put it through a rulemaking process that's open to the public, where JCAR, which are state lawmakers who are on a subcommittee, they will look over the rules, they'll make them public for public comment, and that's when the public, us, we can weigh in and say, well, we don't agree with Alespe. We think they need to do it this way instead, okay? And then that will eventually pass, either the public comments or not, will pass into the rules. Once those rules and regulations are set, that will be how Alespe will operate going forward when it comes to decertification for both discretionary and automatic. Right now, those rules are not established. So that's up in the air, and that's allowing Alespe, in my opinion, to kind of do whatever they want, however they want to do it, as long as they stay within the framework of the state law, which allows a lot of room to do whatever. They can do what they've been doing, which is resulting in more Sonia Massey's, in my opinion. So we need the rulemaking process to move forward. It's been, 2021, the law was enacted. It's been 3 years. What's going on? Okay, they need to do that. So that's number one. Number two, there needs to be more transparency with the professional conduct database and integrity bulletin. So professional conduct database, that's also provided under the Safety Act. That's essentially a database that's now created. It contains everything for all law enforcement officers in the state of Illinois. Any complaints, any compliments, their health history, psychological evaluations, physical exams, everything is in it. The only individuals who have access to it under the state law, the Attorney General, the law enforcement, pretty much all law enforcement in the state of Illinois, and the state legislature and governor. That's it. Nobody else has access, not even the media. And that makes no sense when it's taxpayer dollars paying for that, okay? The other thing, and if we knew what was going on with that, at least the media could report out, we could kind of stay on top of who's being decertified, et cetera. The other thing is that there's also not an open database that lists out on LSP's website officers that have been decertified from years back on up to today. What they have instead is what they call a lookup tool, where you have to know the officer's name and or badge number. You put it in, and then it gives you the exact information just for that officer. That is very different than what most states do, where they actually have an open database. You just go in it, you can see the officer you're looking for, and you can see every other officer who's been decertified in alphabetical order. You can see it by law enforcement agency, etc. Illinois is not doing that. They're like, no, you need to know who it is in advance, put it in, and we'll only give you their information. That's it. So I'm just letting you know there's a lot of work with that. Last thing is there also needs to be more public access and public comment through hybrid meetings. LSP's meetings right now are only in person. They only happen in Springfield or not even in Chicago, so people are not showing up. They don't know what's happening. I'm on the Illinois Reparations Commission, and I can tell you right now, all of our meetings are done hybrid. So you could either participate in person or you could do it virtually. You can also provide public comment that way. So if Illinois is doing that with the Reparations Commission, and we don't get any play, I'm gonna let you know that, right? People don't even know we exist, okay? LSP is a lot more important. I'm just saying, because we're talking about more than just a specific population of people. We're talking about the whole state of people and law enforcement. They don't even have their meetings hybrid, okay? That doesn't make any sense to me. Especially in a post-pandemic, post-COVID era, so that needs to change. And then also local oversight engagement between LSP and law enforcement agencies. There needs to be an audit done by the Office of Inspector General for how Chicago PD, when somebody files a complaint against a Chicago PD officer, and then that agency is doing their investigation, they provide the results of it to LSP. What's going on in that juncture, okay? OIG, the Office of Inspector General, who's going to be speaking at your next meeting, they are already doing audits of CPD. That is what they're tasked with doing. They can easily include this in their audit and make it public so that we all know what's happening when they're giving LSP that information. Is it accurate? Are they saying it's a sustained complaint, unsustained? Why? Why not? Etc. So we need that. Then we need transparency on that. And the other thing is the Attorney General, State Attorney General, also needs to do an audit, in my opinion, annually of LSP's operations and make it public. So that way we all know what is LSP doing, what they're not doing, where do we need to troubleshoot, how do we prevent more Sonia Masses, okay? And then lastly, more education. We need more of this, educating the public on the power you have under the law, making sure you're monitoring officers and that they're actually implementing the law. And then lastly, if they're not implementing it, making sure to report the non-compliance to your state lawmakers so that we actually get these laws enforced. And if you want to get this information, you can go to my website. The link is here. There's a hyperlink there. I'm going to give you the QR code right now, so that'll be the last thing you see. You can scan it with your phone. If you go to the resource webpage on my website, you can find this presentation that I presented to you today. It's all free. It doesn't cost any money. You can also find other resources on there. I also created a Safety Act chart where I lay out what the provisions are within the Safety Act, who's responsible for doing it, who's responsible for holding them accountable, when it's supposed to get done, etc. And then I'm currently at the Criminal Justice Chair working with NAACP Chicago Westside Branch on doing our own workshops. We created a handout where we're educating the community on number one, what is certification and decertification? Number two, what actions would make an officer eligible to be decertified? And number three, how can you file a complaint to decertify an officer? All of it is in a 5-page handout that we created. So we're educating the public in different workshops on how they could use that handout when they think that an officer has done something they're not supposed to do. Can I decertify them? They can go through that handout and see if they can, and then if so, file a complaint right then and there and be empowered. Okay, so thank you so much.
I apologize, Mr. Mayor.
I know I went over. Thank you.
No, thank you. I'm just trying to economize the time for everybody because a lot of people have left already.
Right.
And I want to make certain we're not taking over everybody's wonderful afternoon with good weather.
All right. Thanks again, Mr. Mayor. matter of fact, you agreed that you can stick around for
Yes.
questions afterwards. So we'll ask everybody to hold all the questions from Mr. Mayers respectively until we finish conducting business here. All right, discussion number 2. You wanted to talk about the Space 01 art gallery issue.
Yes, we heard a number of public comments here today about an issue that's been first on social media and then reported in the Sun-Times with a local business in the area, Space One. I, at the Mayor's Take Back the Block event, very briefly spoke with Commander Linus. I did formally request if she was available to meet prior to this meeting, if she had anything to say. She was organizing a Women in Policing conference that has been this week, so she's been unavailable. But I spoke to her briefly, and what she said was that her official remarks were that the 14th district officers do not target anyone for any reason. I mean, well, for their ideology or a sign, or the color of their skin. But she said that they will respond to complaints they received if they receive complaints. So that was what Commander Linus had to say about the issue. What do I have to say? It's been brought to my attention by a number of community members, so I knew that it needed to go on the agenda, but I think some questions were raised in public comment, but this should also be a space to continue some of the community discussion around it. I would strongly encourage anybody who has witnessed misconduct to file a complaint with COPA, the Civilian Office of Police Accountability. And if you have any questions about that process at all, you can speak with me or Councilor Vargas. And I have cards on the table, but let us know if you need any contact information. So it sounds like there were possibly other witnesses. So anybody who has seen it, I personally have not seen any videos. Or anything other than the accounts of other people. It definitely makes more sense for a witness or anyone with evidence to be making those complaints going forward. But yeah, I'd like to ask if there was anything the community was asking of the council, or if there are other questions or discussions.
Well, personally, because I looked into it when it popped up and I appreciate you bringing it to my attention, because otherwise, it wouldn't have shown up on my radar for whatever reason. So, kudos to you for bringing that up when we were putting the agenda together. I did look into it, and I actually spoke with a police lieutenant about it. I don't know. The only word that I've gotten so far was, and I'm not saying that they're telling the truth, and that's the end of the story. There was that there was illegal sale of alcohol going on, and I'm like, okay, well. It's an art gallery. I don't see them having a full bar in there, so I can't really take that as testament. But echoing a lot of what our public comments say, and I don't know why I was left off of that list of people to bring their issues to, because contrary to popular belief, I'm always about police accountability. I want police to go out and do their job without hurting innocent people. So that being said, all the I've got the badge number and the name of everybody, and I'm going to look into it. And like I said, I'm not just going to go to one source and take that as testament. I'm going to keep digging through as well. So we are partners in making certain that this is resolved to the level of satisfaction.
Sorry, one other. One other thing I would say, there are a lot of differences in the cases, but there were some mirrors with, we talked earlier in the year about some harassment at the Humboldt Park Solidarity Network at 3519 West North Avenue. So the one successful thing I had done there was to speak with the supervisor for Consumer Affairs and Business Protections Enforcement Division. And so I again tried to, I have reached out and left messages, but I have not spoken with the enforcement officer or their supervisor yet. So I plan to, I guess, reach out again to BACP in regards to the ongoing violations. Because I understand that in administrative court, a number of the violations were thrown out So they probably should not continue receiving violations for the same underlying offenses. The city is saying that it's an illegal entertainment venue, and they're saying, that it's not, and it's a standard practice shared by other art galleries.
Yes.
Sorry, there was a hand up.
Yeah, so given that the COPA process could take incredibly long, what action can we take as a gallery right now so that we can stay open, not have Trajan get any worse than consequences, and it's not being harassed at our art exhibits?
Your answer is illegal though.
That is true. I don't know, do you have anything to chime in on that?
Low battery on iPhone.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have any advice for you at the moment, but I will ask around and I will share my information with you so we can stay in touch. But you all have a great community around you, and I say that you all should stick together at all moments, as much as you can. And I'll definitely have a conversation with the commander to see if there's any way that to see how she can command CPD to not harass the artist the art gallery owner. Yeah.
Oh no,
I just also wanted, with police interactions, we've had officers saying varying things about what is an officer saying you can't accept suggested donations at all under your license, when our license states we can have suggested donations, they just need to be stated that they're suggested. Is there any document that y'all can provide or that's public that can clearly state that, so that in the instance where an officer is telling us that we can't do something that we legally can do, we have written proof?
That, and I'm sorry, I don't know if anybody's got anything else to say. I mean, that's kind of bordering on the line of practicing the law to a degree. I would have to defer to Mr. Mayers, who'd probably be more suitable to provide insight and what would be acceptable as far as hey, we're certified, no offense, to conduct business in this manner. That's a little something outside of our purview.
Perhaps discuss it with an organization, charitable organization.
Yes.
It's standard practice for galleries to offer beverages or snacks to people who come to things. Yeah. And it's also standard practice to ask for a suggested donation. Because we have done that many times as an arts organization as well, and I'm in a different arts organization. I have friends who own galleries, I have friends who own galleries in all different neighborhoods, and it's just standard practice also to have music at events. And so all of these things that have been going on in terms of how they've been harassed, the fact is why were 10 police officers there for a violation like this? Why were there 4 police cars? Why did one of the policemen say the alderman was in the car to intimidate Trajan? And I literally texted the alderman, and he's like, I'm in Canada. He was on vacation. Because I have direct contact with the alderman because I know him. So it's like this situation was elevated out of control in this crazy way. Why was all those resources put on this one person and this one tiny gallery that had 20 or 30 people there that night?
Yeah.
I was there earlier,
Right.
and they had just told me that the citations they had before were just dismissed the day or two before. I had a conversation with Trajan that night. I was like, hey, congratulations, you got your citations dismissed. I think you were there. We were talking about it. I'm like, great for you guys.
All right, with all due respect, I mean, because we did capture that in your comments. I'm not trying to be dismissive.
I'm just very
We're just trying to move it along as well.
But it is standard practice for
Yeah, I know many art galleries who do that. So
I see there's a couple hands up in the back.
Mine is just a really quick statement. If you think about it, 10 police officers in this district represent about 5% of the 14th district's police officers. So it was worth dedicating 5% of our resources to what sounds like it's SOP. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I just, want to acknowledge what y'all said, and I mean, you were asking why. I think it's pretty obvious, racism and political repression, because they don't like the political message. And so maybe in regards to this council, I'd like to ask that the councilors help push forward the COPA investigation. I think that's something that y'all should do. I think that's a demand that I'm willing to get behind. And in terms of what to do beyond that, like I said, I'm happy to talk more because I do organizing around this sort of stuff, around police crime. So I'm happy to help.
All right. Let's get back into the business end of things. My battery's about to die on the phone, so.
One more. Is this something we could apply to this LSP?
Decertification, yes.
Let's
For
be.
decertification for those officers?
Try.
So, well, I mean, you could always file the complaint. The thing is, what are they going to do with it? Now, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to send that complaint to CPD for them to investigate it.
To the BIA?
Yeah. Well, right, BIA, exactly, for them to investigate it.
It's actually a regular police officer who is assigned to run affairs investigations just for that one issue, which is usually the sergeant of the person who you're complaining about.
Okay. That's true. All right, we're going to rein it back in here.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it really comes down to there.
He'll be here for.
Don't cut us off.
Yeah, don't cut us off. And then BIA usually doesn't sustain results.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's the problem. And so that's why I was saying that.
So it's going to get cut off by the police themselves.
Well, this is the thing. So the
They're
police.
investigating themselves.
So,
Yeah,
so the
exactly.
police can't cut it off. They are tasked with doing the investigation. Once they do the investigation, they have to give those results if they find that the complaint was sustained, unsustained, unfounded, or whatever. The BIA has to give that to a LSP. It's up to a LSP to say, okay, are we going to agree with the police investigation, or are we going to say, no, we're going to move forward with it anyway, or even get more information, right? And so, in my opinion, it's really the onus is more on a LSP than it is on the police department, because they're the one with more power. And if we're not auditing them and calling them out as taxpayers, like, you're not doing what you're supposed to do, this is what we're paying you to do, okay? Then they're just going to keep on not doing what they're supposed to do, and then we keep on getting more Sonia Massey's, and CPD and others continue to do what they're doing. Like, hey, you can't do anything to us, right? They have that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying we need to audit this. We need the OIG to do their own audit as well of CPD when it comes to that.
So these guys should probably apply this
Got
thing
5
to
minutes before we get out of
LSD
the
as
room.
well as COPA then, huh?
And is it better for one person to file the COPA and then get all the witnesses? I think somebody said that.
COPA claims, COPA will try to consolidate complaints, and they'll list any witnesses with the same complaint number. And they can, right, so if somebody does something and then walks out the door and comes back in, you don't need 2 separate complaint numbers for that. That can be the same situation. Yeah, there were a lot of questions, and I think that we'll have to have conversations outside of here
Right.
for some of those answers.
Yeah, to be clear, we got about 5 minutes before we're supposed to be out of the room. So that's, I'm not trying to be
The library's
dismissive.
not going to kick us out.
Probably not.
Okay,
Probably not.
so we'll go ahead and move on to the next item, budget.
Anybody who had direct questions that were not answered, please reach out or talk to us after. I would be willing to make a statement, although I'm not sure that what weight that would carry. Individual officers do not always have the same understanding or expression of the law and all the different rules. So, that can be a frustrating occurrence for a number of people. And in terms of what you need to do, it's self-defense, or there's different strategies and ideas for how to protect yourself in different situations. So it's hard to answer unequivocally. But I would like to support you moving forward in all of the ways, including COPA and strategizing.
Because they're claiming something that isn't true.
So I guess we need to do some more agenda items. Thank you, and I didn't have anything planned for the restorative justice topic. We can skip that, and then I already spoke about the mayor's Take Back the Block event in my updates, so we can skip that as well. I had a topic for lingering discussions from our last meeting. I'm not sure. I don't have anything for that. I don't know if are there discussions around our best practices, including communications and budgeting issues with an event that we held?
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand that the policy is currently being rewritten right now, so I think it's a little premature to sit there and test the metal of it right now, but pending further review, we can pick that discussion up later, if that's okay with the two of you.
Yeah, we can pick it up later. Yeah, I mean, we have made no policies around use of budget. We don't actually have control of any funds. We make requests through the staff, and it's their request, so we don't have any fiduciary budget. And so the staff gave us a process, and we followed the staff's process. So moving on to votes.
Well, we got the minutes taken care of. The CPAT item, it looks like the only other thing on
okay.
there. Now, before we
Sure.
get into that, because I did go through and take a look at that aspect. Where is it? So I printed out a copy of the fact sheet. This is it here. So, and this might be a non-issue because of this. So this is the information that was pulled from what you shared with us.
Yes.
And this is what stuck out to me.
Oh, they extended it. I can find that additional information. They posted a Queen. I'll get you the specific information. So yeah, on August 27th, Queen Adesanya sent an email, subject, new deadline, update on arbitration brief, please read. So it's apparent that they did not update that link at the time that you accessed it. I certainly believe you. What she says is that the city is expected to seek a 30-day extension to file its brief, which extends the timeline for everyone involved. Okay.
Like I said, I'm like, okay, well, it's kind of a non-starter.
No, good eye. Yeah. No.
Well, if it's passed already, why would we?
Right. That makes sense.
If you got a Wayback Machine, I'd love to know about it.
The reason I put it on the agenda was because I got this reminder email for the update. And I could read the text that I sent to the council previously. That's a different email, so fine. But essentially, I do have a couple copies of. The council has talked about this before. We have not taken official council, I don't think, votes or actions on arbitration. But two council members individually signed a statement that 41 district council members signed against private police arbitration previously. And this is a continuation of that issue. So I'm asking us to formalize our role so that the 14th District Council can be listed officially on the amicus brief.
So, to be clear, we already have a majority.
So
well, we haven't taken a real vote for it.
I'm just saying.
I vote yes, and are we going to ask questions with?
Well, we're going to do that. We're no longer streaming.
Is it okay? So, are you ready to call the vote?
Okay. I need a motion.
Okay. Yeah, I motion to vote for the 14th District Council to officially sign on an endorsement of the amicus brief opposing private police arbitration.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes as presented.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Okay.
And then we just have our next meeting?
Yes. Next meeting, location? I think it's Fullerton.
The Logan Library. Next meeting will be Saturday, October 5th at the Logan
Fullerton.
Library. Sorry.
3030 West Fullerton?
Yeah. And we'll have the Office of Inspector General speaker. 1 p.m. It's always the 1 p.m. the first Saturday of the month. If you would like to grab an annual calendar on the table on the way out, or sign up for my newsletter if you want the updates. And yeah, we'll have a great speaker there as well. And I guess we're going to have questions now for our great speaker that we had today.
All right, I'm going to close the meeting out and people can.
Sounds good.
All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. That being said, time now is 3:02 p.m. We are adjourned.
Thank you. Thank you to our speaker, Carlton Mayers, for the information. And yeah, so now he's graciously staged for answering more. Please stage for answering more. Please stage for answering more.